Good morning. I am not James Edmond. So James is out today, so I am pitch hitting for him. And so I think Terry Austin is first in the batter's box. Delegate Austin.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, James is out and we hope him well. I think I talked with him yesterday and he is feeling better and doing good, so hopefully we'll get him back. Not that you can't do the job, Mr. Chairman. I have a bill today, HB 463. It's the boat ramp access fee. HB 463 repeals the ramp access fees that were enacted by HB 1602 that passed through this body in 2020. My good friend Delegate Fowler put that bill in place, and he did it with good intentions because there is a problem, and we all acknowledge that there is a problem. But unfortunately, I don't think 1602, as enacted, gets to the solution of fixing the problem. So during the 2021 session, language was placed in the budget to delay the implementation by 1 year so that the stakeholders advisory group could provide input on potential effects of Virginians, businesses, and tourism. The report generated by the advisory group concluded that access fees did not solve the problem HB 1602 intended to address, mainly that parking is inadequate for users of our rivers. It is for these reasons that I carry HB 463 that will just reenact the bill. And Mr. Chairman, I would like to, I've had conversations with Director Brown at the Department of Wildlife Resources, and Ryan is in agreement with what we're doing today. His department is in agreement. We all acknowledge there's a problem, and we all acknowledge that we got to find a solution and a path forward. Ryan just told me that there's monies in the budget to do what's necessary. But I think a study or a letter by you, Mr. Chairman, to Ryan directing him to do an assessment of where we have the abilities to fix the problems. Lots of places where we have launches, we don't own the real estate where people park. So I think we're very limited in our abilities, but we should probably try to do better. And, you know, Delegate Fowler's intentions were good. You know, if you do have a boat registered and you go somewhere to launch your boat and then you pull up into the lot and there's no parking available because, you know, the people who don't have trailers are there canoeing, kayaking, or whatever. But that's a great problem for the Commonwealth to have. It's a really good problem that we got that many people using our waterways and contributing to our economy and tourism and, you know, spending money as they go do these activities. So I commend Delegate Fowler for his efforts and intentions. He brought this to the forefront, and I think we can, working with the director, we can find a path forward. So, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that the committee look favorable on this request.
So what you would like to do is we're going to table the bill and then a letter from the chair where? I'd
like to report the bill and get a letter from the chair saying that we're going to write a letter and ask the chairman provided the funding goes forward, he will have some funding to do some things with, but let's assess it and report back to the chairman, please.
Okay. All right. So do we have any questions of committee? So we have someone in virtual. No, not on this bill. All right. Anyone in the audience want to briefly speak on this bill?
Mr. Chairman, Ryan Brown, Director of the Department of Wildlife Resources, and I just want to say we appreciate very much the efforts of Delegate Fowler and Delegate Austin over time to put some attention on this. Access to water, as the committee knows, is a primary desire of Virginians, and we and other agencies do our absolute best to provide what we can with what resources we have available. As he mentioned, the work group, which was a wonderful group of folks, met with us this year, recommended some budget action along with this particular legislation, and we're supportive of those ideas. It's a good start, but I think us providing us an assessment of what else is needed, as he recommends, is a good way to give you all some real numbers on what the total need is across the state, which is pretty big, but it's as he noted, a very good problem to have. The reason the need's big is because the demand's big from the public, which means they're getting out there on the water.
Okay, thank you. I think we have two people in the virtual. Mr. Hunsinger, would you like to weigh in?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on in support of this bill today. This fee program would have created an undue burden on river outfitters and river users in the Rappahannock region watershed. We thank the stakeholders who participated in this work group for this important work, and to Delegate Austin for carrying this bill. We support this bill and hope you will as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. And I think, Anna, you want to speak also?
Yes, and I'll be brief. We were a part of the stakeholder group. I'm with the James River Association. We were part of the stakeholder group that met to discuss the fees and potential other options. And as Delegate Austin mentioned, there is money in the budget that basically just gives DWR 100% of the dedicated revenues it ought to receive. So we hope that that budget language moves through and those funds are delivered to DWR to do the important work. And we hope you see fit to move this bill forward as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody on, you have a question?
Mr. Chair, I have a parliamentary procedure question.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I understand if we move the bill, if we report the bill but ask for a chairman's letter to assess, does the bill still take effect while we're waiting for that assessment?
Well, it wouldn't take effect until July 1. And so I think that my boss, Delegate Ware, will rule on this to see how we're going to go. So I think our job today is to report the bill and send it to full. And it won't be heard until next Wednesday week, so we have some time. So any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would like to say that I thank the stakeholders group. These people gave a lot of their time to meet and to work for a favorable solution. And, you know, their interest is in growing this business and the economy, and I thank them for all their work.
Okay. We have to have a motion.
Move to report.
Have a motion and a second to report. All those in favor, please vote.
And Delegate Edmonds?
Delegate Edmonds votes aye.
So the bill 463 reports 6-0. Thank you, Delegate Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, Ms. March, I think you're next. Your bill number, please.
HB 114.
114. All right. Tell us what you want to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. House Bill 114 addresses the growing problem across rural southwestern Virginia, specifically two of my rural counties who are having major issues recruiting and retaining volunteer firefighters and first responders. Most of us are very aware that so many folks are still not working in every retail, restaurant, department store, and offices. They're all expressing major staffing issues. If we can't get people to work for pay, then you can only imagine what our volunteer firefighting departments are dealing with. The way to solve this problem is to pass my bill. Our recruitment in rural Virginia would be solved if we could entice a few more folks into joining up. As some of you are aware, there's a lot of poverty where I come from in Southwest Virginia. People save up their money their whole lives and still have to pay yearly to hunt and fish. And some people are still so poor in my neck of the woods that they even have to rely on hunting and fishing in order to survive. I would like for you to consider voting to support this bill to help enlist more folks to sign on to keep our communities safe and staffed when folks are in need, and in turn to help our firefighters and first responders afford this most valuable hunting and fishing permit that has the added benefit of helping to feed their families. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I never heard that line before, that you pass my bill, it solves all the problems. So that's
Of course.
I'm going to steal that. So you, the clerk gave us members here a
Matrix.
matrix. So if you want to explain that, Lisa, please.
Mr. Chairman, the matrix in front of you, it's hunting on one side and state parks on the other when we get to those bills. The top table shows what we currently provide, either full exemptions or reduced fees for various classifications of individuals for hunting and fishing. You can see we give totally and permanently disabled veterans, 70% disabled veterans, active duty, injured veterans, and permanently disabled residents, some exemptions and reductions. And then the proposed additions you'll see in the second matrix on the bottom sets forth what Delegate March's bill would do. And then when we get to the other bills, we also see what Delegate Wiley and Wilett's bills would do. But I prepared it not to influence you one way or the other, but just so you could see the totality of what we do with the fees.
Okay. Any questions on that? Any questions from committee on the bill? Seeing none. Anyone in the audience want to speak in favor? Opposed?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
do we expect to hear from the agency?
Okay. Looks like he's coming forward.
Morning again, Mr. Chairman. Ryan Brown with the Department of Wildlife Resources. And I'll say what I've got to say, I'll put very gently as the former captain of the Fork Union Volunteer Fire Department out in Delegate Ware's district. So I certainly understand recruitment difficulties that some of our local rural departments face. As the committee likely is aware, we're largely a self-funded agency. And so rather than receiving general fund dollars through the state budget, the predominant amount of the funding that the agency utilizes comes from license sales that we sell. Virginia's probably on the far end in terms of numbers of license exemptions that are issued, and when we do that, we lose not just only the state revenue associated with the license, but also importantly federal matching dollars, which currently are about $36 a year between hunting and fishing licenses, $26 each year for every hunting license that we sell, $10 each year for every fishing license that we sell. And you heard me say the word sell. We only get the matching dollars for licenses that are sold. We don't get it for licenses that are given away. In the case of lifetime licenses, which some of the bills that are in front of you today implicate, we would get that match every single year for the lifespan of that particular constituent. So that $36 compounds every year, year after year. Along with the lost state revenue at the front end. And so in as much as we support, and in fact, volunteer firefighters probably disproportionately participate in our programs, as the delegate mentions, along with some other groups that come in here, and we're extraordinarily grateful to those folks and many others. Every time a meritorious cause is given a free license, that's that much less revenue that we have to operate with going forward. And as you heard from Delegate Austin a few minutes ago, the demand keeps going up. So, these bills do have a real impact on us. In the case of this legislation, we had our fiscal folks take a look at it. As best we can figure, there is probably about 20,000 folks existing right now who would take advantage of this license, just if we applied our numbers of subscribership to the total number of volunteers that are out there in fire and EMS. And then, of course, going forward, others would join that. So the fiscal impact statement that I think is in front of you there, if you read the paragraph in that, depending on how the numbers work out, these bills can be quite costly.
Okay. Questions of Mr. Brown? Thank you. All right. I think we have someone in the queue. Andy McCready, would you like to speak, sir?
Yes, sir. Good morning. My name is Andy McCready out here in Pulaski County. I'm a 24-year member of a volunteer fire department that covers Pulaski County, 11 miles of the interstate, and Claytor Lake. When I started 24 years ago, we used to jokingly say we had the dirty dozen that showed up on most calls. Now, after 10 years, we have the dirty half dozen, and today we have the dirty 3 or 4 that typically show up on most calls. Gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, we're in a real crisis out here. I might add that when we go into any kind of natural disaster, that it is your volunteer fire departments that arrive and clear trees from the road, because our county only has 7 VDOT employees. So you take for granted that the road gets opened, but oftentimes it's a volunteer fireman doing it in a rural county like ours. Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, we have boating incidents and fatalities occasionally on Claytor Lake. We're the ones that provide a lot of the additional services to them. So think about it. Here we have a paid state employee working beside a volunteer. Same thing with VDOT. Same thing with the state police. This is not going to solve all our problems, but we need to find tools that we can offer younger folks to try to join us. I recently ran a call where I was one of 3 on the call, and I was the youngest member running the call. Gentlemen, I'm 62 years old. I'm not going to be able to do this much longer. We need some help, and I'm calling on you to take a hard look at this. If we can attract just 25 people more per county, that'll go a long way in getting us additional help that we need. Because once we can train them, even if they weren't necessarily going to stay with us forever, they're always a fireman, and we can pull them in and use them. Just like you heard our new Lieutenant Governor say, once a Marine, always a Marine. Once a fireman, always a fireman. I hope you'll consider this bill favorably, and we'll pass it on. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, sir. All right, anyone else on committee have a question? All right, we'll wrap up. And just FYI, this bill, if it's reported, has to go to appropriations.
Yes. So I just want to thank you guys for considering this bill.
Okay. All right, we operate on motions.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we lay this bill on the table.
We have a motion and a second to table HB 114. All those, that's a voice vote? Yes, recorded votes. All right, so we're going on the board. So.
Delegate Edmonds?
I think we lost him there.
Okay, I can get it
Okay.
later.
So it's 5-0. Thank you, ma'am. All right. What I'm going down is a sign-up sheet that people signed up, to go hear their bills on the queue here. And so next on the list that signed up at 9:23 a.m. is Delegate White. He's not here. All right. So Delegate Cherry. Good morning, sir. House Bill 132.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
In presenting House Bill 132, this is a disabled passport for disabled veterans for Virginia State Parks. Recently, the federal government changed their standard for allowing this veteran passport to allow disabled veterans to go into federal parks. This is a bill that's intended to mirror to some extent that same. It's not an exact copy, but it's certainly closer than what we have now. Currently, 100% disabled eligible people are allowed to come into our state parks for free. This would allow anyone with a disability rating from the VA to enjoy the same 100% entries without having to pay, as well as a 50% discount on camping and swimming fees, picnic shelter rentals, things like that. There is a fiscal impact to it. I'm not saying the fiscal impact is wrong. I'll tell you that this bill was presented last year by former Speaker Cox, and the fiscal impact statement from last year was about $70,000, and somehow this year that amount grew to $405,000.
Inflation, huh?
Joe Biden's economy has put us in this situation. And so that is the intent of the bill. That is the pleasure of the bill. And of course, I'll answer any questions that may come from the committee.
Okay. Any questions of members of the committee? All right. Anyone in the audience want to speak in favor of the bill? Do we have anybody in the queue?
We have Mr. Zimmerman in favor.
Okay. All right. Anyone want to speak in opposition? All right. Mr. Zimmerman?
I'm sorry, I meant to speak in favor.
Okay, please. Yes, go ahead, sir.
I represent the Joint Leadership Council of Veteran Services. I'm the vice chair of the council, and this parallels what is happening on the federal level. So the federal government has made a similar process to allow disabled veterans to be able to use national parks. So this would be an appropriate thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in this morning. All right. Any questions? All right, so we work on motions. Do I hear a motion? Going once, going twice. Thank you, sir.
Have a great day.
You too. All right, so next in the list is Delegate Guzman. You were at 6:32 p.m. when you signed up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the committee. I have a substitute for your consideration.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the substitute's being posted on LIS.
Please. We have a. All right, so we have a substitute before us, and what's your pleasure? Need to get a substitute. All right, have a motion and a second to adopt a substitute. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have the substitute that I presented to you. And what this substitute does is clarifies the intent of the legislation, which is to provide the state park passport to only members of the Virginia National Guard. Such a passport would permit free admittance and parking at all Virginia state parks. Currently, the Department of Conservation and Recreation issues such a passport for disabled veterans. But this bill will simply seek to extend this benefit to all Virginia National Guard members. Our Virginia state parks are beautiful spaces that allow for relaxation and enjoyment. So this bill seeks to show our appreciation for our National Guardsmen by permitting them free access without the hindrance of an admission or parking fee. This is a priority for the Joint Leadership Council of Veteran Services Organizations, which have been working with me during the editing process of this bill. They are here in the audience today, and it's a priority for them, and they are here to answer any question. The data from the Department of Veteran Services and the Joint Leadership Council indicate that Virginia has around 8,672 National Guard members between the Army and the Air Guard, and the Department of Conservation and Recreation has estimated this legislation that will have a negative impact on revenue from $30,000 to $40,000. I believe this is relatively small, Mr. Chairman, to pay to show our recognition and appreciation for the National Guard members that have been instrumental through this pandemic to help us, deliver vaccination, run mobile clinics across the Commonwealth, and these members are a critical part of our Commonwealth. And I hope you would support this bill, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Questions of committee? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, today we have several bills before us that deal with waiving entrance fees to parks. And I remember that Delegate Orrock had a study that was going to be conducted around to see if there were options for dedicated state funding for our state parks. And I know that's, I think, a concern that many of us have since our state parks depend upon our entrance fees. I was wondering if there were any committee members that were aware of the results of that study and the recommendations and how that's going to proceed this session.
Yes, Lisa. Here.
Mr. Chairman, I know that I'm not sure of the entirety of the results of the study, but one of the key recommendations was to impose an additional vehicle registration fee. With that funding would go to state parks, and then you would gain admittance to state parks without a fee if you had a Virginia registration. There are currently bills pending before the General Assembly to address that. They haven't made it through the process yet.
Okay. Any other questions, committee members? Anyone in the audience want to speak in favor? Please go forward.
Good early morning, everyone. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Kevin Hoffman. I'm a Virginia National Guard soldier of 19 years, also a member of the Joint Leadership Committee. Sir. I ask your support for a couple reasons on this bill. First, it does acknowledge the significant contributions of the National Guard over the last several years. Obviously, COVID response. We've also responded to a lot of civil unrest, as well as overseas deployments. It's interesting, if you're a Virginia National Guard soldier, you deploy through Texas. We send all our soldiers through Fort Bliss and Fort Hood. So right now we're in a historic mobilization period. About 2,000 people overseas are in the process of going overseas. Every single one of those Virginia National Guard soldiers can go to a Texas state park for free. So we do compete with our neighboring states as well for talent in the National Guard. If you look at Maryland, Maryland has free admission to parks. North Carolina is mostly free. Tennessee and West Virginia have discount programs. So we think we'd ask you to look favorably upon this one. As you know, the Guard is a relatively small population, 8,600 people. And I'd like to thank Delegate Guzman for putting this forward. One other note, Mr. Chair, 487 is a comparable bill from Delegate Helmer, and I believe the request is to merge those two.
Yeah, so what will happen is, I don't think we merge, we'll probably table his bill, and then he would sign on as our chief co-patron.
Yes, sir.
Her bill. Okay, but that's just inside baseball.
Yes, sir.
All right, any
Mr.
questions?
Chairman,
Yes.
if we adopted the substitute?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions of this gentleman? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we have a couple of people up in the queue. Mr. Zimmerman? See your hands up. Can you hear us?
Sorry, I didn't realize I had to unmute. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, in support of what Kevin just said, also as a member of the Joint Leadership Council for Veteran Services, I believe this is very important for the competitive nature of the Virginia National Guard, who has a lot of pull and a lot of reasons to join Guard in other states. Anything we can do to help the Guard is absolutely critical to help the state of Virginia. I strongly support this bill.
Okay. All right, Andrew, I think you are next, sir.
Good morning. My name is Andrew Zeflicki. I am the president of the Virginia National Guard Association, representing the nearly 8,600 soldiers and airmen that currently serve in the Virginia National Guard, which represents about every zip code in Virginia. We strongly support this bill and any actions to further the benefits of the Virginia National Guard. As Mr. Hoffman indicated, we do have a competition with our neighboring states. And when the soldiers that live in the extremes of our states, such as Gate City, Cedar Bluff, where they can just hop the border to Tennessee and continue serving their country and receive better benefits to their communities. With the recent snowstorms where we called upon those soldiers multiple times and throughout Louisa County and Pulaski, I just think that this is a sensible bill at a reasonable cost to ensure that our nation and our community security. Thank you for your consideration.
And thank you for your service, sir. All right, any questions, the patron? All right, anyone else in the audience want to speak? Okay, give you the last word.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And pardon me, so the bill, if it goes forward, has to go to appropriations.
Sure. Just to remind that there will be an impact on revenue, which will from $30,000 to $40,000, Mr. Chairman. And not only Texas have done this, we have other states as well. Arkansas is already doing it. Arizona is already doing it. Connecticut is already doing it. Florida is already doing it. So I think it's time for us to help our National Guard members, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have a motion.
Yes, sir.
Move to report and refer.
All right, we have a motion and a second to report and refer to approps. All those wishing to vote, please do so.
Delegate Edmonds?
Delegate Edmonds votes aye.
Delegate Tran, she's not sure.
She's not voting. It's okay.
Okay. All right, clerk, close the roll. It passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you, ma'am. And Mr. White, you're next, sir, by the timesheet here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My apologies for not signing up. I guess I missed that. This morning I have a bill, HB 115. It's very similar to the conversations we've been having in regards to support for disabled veterans, et cetera. After speaking with the Department of Wildlife Resources and Delegate Wyatt, I would like to offer an amendment with a substitute that I've worked with Mrs. Wallmeyer on.
So do you have that?
Yes, sir. The substitute's being posted, and I will note that it will make the bill identical to House Bill 120, Delegate Wyatt's bill.
And that being said, without taking away the thunder for Delegate Wyatt, I'd like to see if you could incorporate that bill into his, and I guess lay it on the table would be probably
Yeah, I
the best
think
way
what
to do it.
happens is we'll table 120,
Table.
and then he'll sign on to your bill. So we have a substitute. Need a motion?
To adopt the substitute?
We need to adopt a substitute?
Ms. Wallmeyer.
Okay.
I don't have the exact language.
I need a motion and a second. All right, so do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
It's early.
There's coffee next door if you need some. All right, all those in favor say aye. Okay, substitute's adopted. All right, go ahead, sir.
Ms. Wallmeyer, I'm going to let her explain it. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact breakdown of how we're going to propose this. Ms. Wallmeyer.
Mr. Chairman, the key part of the substitute is that it would phase in a sliding scale for the amount that a veteran would pay for a license based on the amount of their disability. So someone disabled between 70 and 99% would, and this is rated by the federal veterans, or the federal, it's early, the military, they're,
Veterans.
yes. It would be coffee is a wonderful thing. Between 70 and 99% disabled would pay a fee of $50. Between 50 and 69% disabled would pay a fee of $75. And between 30 and 49% disabled would pay a fee of $100. So it's a sliding scale based on disability. And then we already have the current exemption that if you're totally and permanently disabled, you get your license for free. So that's existing law, but that would dovetail into this bill.
All right, so any questions on the substitute? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Okay. All right.
Thank you. That's all I need to request from my end. Certainly would appreciate you forwarding this on to the committee, and I would like to see if this gentleman here from the Department of Wildlife would be glad to speak on that.
Mr. Brown?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Ryan Brown from the Department of Wildlife Resources. And I will say, provided that the substitute language is identical to Delegate Wyatt's bill, that particular legislation is basically the outcome of discussions of my staff, some of Delegate Wyatt's constituents, and Delegate Wyatt over the past couple of years on this very subject. And what I would say is, if you're of the bills that seek to provide a discounted license, this is one that would not have a big fiscal impact upon the department. In fact, I grilled my accounting folks pretty good on it, and under some scenarios you'll see a very small decline. Under other scenarios you'll see a little increase. And so basically we believe the bill would be a wash because it creates a sliding scale with an objective standard set by Veterans Services in order for people to get this rating, and preserves some fee for the license, so we'd still get the federal matching dollars. So among the license bills that we'll discuss here today, this is the one that we would look at as potentially no fiscal impact upon the department.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions, Mr. Brown? Yes.
Thank you. Director Brown, I have earlier we spoke about what plans might be in the works to have dedicated state funding for state parks. Are you aware of any discussions or plans in the works similarly for your department, which is also funded by fees? Thank you.
Excellent question, Delegate Tran. Right now, no. Although I would say when we look at these bills come in just from the agency side of things, there are states, Tennessee has passed legislation that says, okay, if we're going to create a license exemption, there needs to be an accompanying budget amendment to provide general fund dollars, and I think that's been instructive to a lot of folks, because a lot of people don't understand how our efforts are funded here in the state. Right now, there's not a similar study as was done by Delegate Orrock's bill or directed by Delegate Orrock's bill, but probably would be useful for us to provide some information to the committee and others on exactly how we're funded and how this all works, so that especially new members coming on are aware. It's not just the license bills, but every time we have an increase in state employee salaries or central costs for technology and things of that nature, we absorb that and pay for it through license sales, and so that dictates service cuts in other areas if the money's not made up from somewhere.
Okay. Any further questions of committee? Anything else?
No, Mr. Chairman.
So this bill needs to go to approps also, but you also have got two people up in the queue.
Just Mr. Zimmerman.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Zimmerman, would you like to speak to us, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much. This bill, unlike the previous one that was just complete benefit for no cost, is very similar to Texas and to some other states. And this seems to be a reasonable way to approach giving a discount to veterans and a recognition of their service without creating as large of a fiscal impact. So between the two bills, I support this one very much. Thank you very much. And I represent the Joint Leadership Council of Veteran Services.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right. Any other questions of committee? All right, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to report and refer.
All right, we have a motion and a second to report and refer the substitute of HB 115. All those wishing to vote, please do so.
Delegate Edmonds.
Votes aye.
All right, close the roll. It passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Let's see if you maybe could help us out. So has staff heard that if Delegate White wants to table his bill, or I hate to table his bill and he's not here.
Well, and that's the reason why when I worked with him on, he said either way, since he's
I'll
not here.
make the motion.
You wanted to
Well, I don't want to stab somebody in the back, and
I'll be glad to relay the message to him if you want me to.
If they don't want to be. So we're going to let his bill stay, and he can talk to the chairman right there, or either. So just let him know that.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Okay, I think Delegate Reed's been sitting here for a while, so come forward, sir. Good morning. Your bill number?
850.
850. Okay, gotcha.
So good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This is 850. First of all, I want to say that this does nothing to repeal anything that Delegate Fowler has ever done before. And secondly, I'm going to borrow from Delegate March and say this will solve all of our problems if you just pass the bill. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, I know that we have online some folks that are going to be helping out with this, but I want to first of all thank the National Capital Lyme Disease Association, who has provided input and guidance on this legislation as I have been developing it. First of all, I think as most of us are probably familiar with the fact that tick-borne disease and particularly Lyme disease is one of the most prevalent tick-borne diseases in the United States as well as in Virginia. One of the things that's interesting as you look at this, the original infection rates for Lyme disease were really predominantly in the Northern Virginia area. Now this has continued to migrate down the valley, and now one of the areas that is actually the most intensely with having disease infection rates is down in the New River Valley area. So this is something that applies not only to Northern Virginia but across the entire Commonwealth. The purpose behind this bill is actually twofold. It has two parts in it to actually address education and awareness. The first part of the bill is to direct the department to create signs that would go at each one of the 41 state parks, and as a model, I am using, as a cost model for this, I'm using the $1,500 per sign that we use for historical markers. So that's the budget amendment that I've put in to kind of allocate for that. It wouldn't be the same type of thing, but I'm assuming that since the historical markers are really very large and metallic, that markers or advertising type of things at the state parks would be easier. The second part of this is about creating instructional resources and material for use in public libraries and schools. Now, it does not mandate that those schools have to use it, and I'd like to just share a couple parts of this. Is that in the second part, it says that it will be appropriate, it shall be appropriate to the age of the individuals. It shall provide information about the ticks, recommendation procedures for safe removal, those type of things. And then it says may include videos and other types of way to convey this information. And the last part of it is shall be made available to school boards and local regional libraries upon request at no charge. So basically it's asking the Department of Education to create this information and provide it as a service so that we can hopefully make people more aware about the potential of Lyme disease, tick-borne illnesses, and how to properly remove them and be able to get care. And just as a personal aside, of the 4 members in my family, both my youngest daughter and my wife have dealt with Lyme disease, not to the degree that some people have to, because fortunately in both of those instances they actually were manifested with the classic kind of bullseye circle and were able to get antibiotics in a very timely manner. But that's not always the case for everyone. So I'm hoping it'll be the pleasure of the committee to look favorably on this legislation. And again, I do believe that we have people online who would like to speak.
Let's see if we have any questions of committee. All right, seeing none, who is first in the queue up there? We've got a long list here, so
it's at the chair's discretion.
Will you tell us who you wanted to see first? I don't know if we can get them all in.
I would probably start with Monty and Maureen.
All right, let's go one at a time. So don't talk. All right, so Monty.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Monty Skall. As the Executive Director of the National Capital Lyme Disease Association, or NADCAP Lyme as we're commonly called, I am here today to voice our support of House Bill 850. NADCAP Lyme is a national nonprofit organization that has been offering support and education to Lyme patients and their family members, the public at large, throughout Virginia for over 21 years. We have served on 5 Lyme disease task forces in both Virginia and Maryland, including statewide and local county health departments. We wrote and achieved the passage into law of the Virginia Lyme Disclosure Act in 2013 and in Maryland in 2016. Despite all these efforts, we find that Virginians still lack adequate knowledge about tick diseases. HB 850 achieves the purpose of encouraging public education on Lyme disease and how to prevent its further spread in the Commonwealth. This bill encourages Virginians to learn about Lyme and other tick diseases, treat them seriously, take aggressive prevention measures, and seek early treatment. The number one public health goal must be to assure that the general public becomes fully aware of the exposure risk to tick-borne diseases and understand the possible severe medical consequences. For years, public health professionals have been encouraging people to be educated and active in making decisions about their health care. This proposed legislation is an important step in that direction. With its passage, more people will avoid serious long-term illness. I urge this committee to pass HB 850 out of this subcommittee today and help the citizens of Virginia receive the information they deserve. Our motto is and has always been, education is your best defense against Lyme and tick-borne diseases. Thank everyone today for the opportunity to let me speak in support of Bill 850.
Thank you, ma'am. Doug Reed, you want to ask someone else, tell us something we hadn't heard? We're going to have 2 minutes per speaker.
Yes. Is there someone else who, and I appreciate everyone being on, but is there someone else who would like to add something beyond what Monty had said? Because the chair has said that he wanted to limit that to 2 minutes. So Maureen, if you could go, please. You're still muted, Maureen.
I'm Maureen Driscoll, and I'm here today to support HB 850.
I moved into Fairfax County 26 years ago from Michigan, and I had never heard of Lyme disease, let alone did I know that I needed to protect myself and my family at all costs from getting bit by a tick, especially given that Virginia was then and is still now one of the top endemic states in the country for Lyme disease, according to the CDC. I presented with the classic Lyme symptoms in 2005, which irreparably destroyed my life in every way possible. I sought help from 23 mainstream medical doctors, half of whom were on the Washingtonian top docs list. And all 23 dismissed my symptoms without a diagnosis. 17 years ago, I was at the height of my career as a financial vice president for a large government services contractor here in Northern Virginia. I became too sick to work, too sick to care for my children, and too sick to be a contributing partner in my marriage. The reason why this educational bill is so important is that mainstream medicine has no idea what to do with the individuals who don't have the characteristic skin rash and a positive Lyme titer test. The public and posted summary of this bill states that the signage needs to provide information on how to, one, prevent tick bite, how to identify Lyme disease, and where to seek treatment. Unless you have the characteristic presentation of Lyme, as stated in the beginning of this discussion, and so many of us don't, there is woefully inadequate treatment for Lyme disease available in Virginia. Education and prevention are the only way, they are the only answers in a world that denies, undercuts, and dismisses Lyme as not a dangerous health condition. Please pass HB 850 so that other Virginians don't end up with my fate. Thank you for the consideration.
Another speaker, two minutes.
Okay. Is there one last person, Greg? If you...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I will dispense with the duplicative part of my testimony, but I did want to say that with respect to the childhood education portion of this bill, by seeking to educate our children in our schools, we know that they will learn the basics of how to avoid tick-borne diseases at their most impressive age, and we've seen that done very, very successfully. We know also that our children are themselves great teachers for their own parents. So by teaching about tick-borne diseases in the schools, we're really educating well beyond the children to their families and the larger population. Over the years, we have seen many well-intentioned legislative efforts falter. Please do not let this be one of them. Pass this bill and make it a meaningful contribution to the health and well-being of Virginians. NatCap Lyme wholeheartedly endorses HB 850. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Mr. Chairman, how many more?
Well, it looks like you only got two more people that hadn't spoke.
Okay.
So,
Chris?
Tell us something we hadn't heard, please.
Sure. Hi, good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Chris Rowe, and I am an elementary special education public school teacher who grew up in the area. I contracted Lyme disease as a child, and the effects were devastating. I lost the ability to read, write, count, change, and even walk short distances as I became a student with a disability. Unfortunately, our school systems have a lot of these children, and oftentimes these children go unrecognized or they don't know the effects of being outdoors and the dangers of them. 30% of annual reported cases are children like me. Unfortunately, I'm disappointed that our systems do not have adequate education, awareness, and prevention initiatives for Lyme disease. And public health is only as valuable as the belief that people have in it. And I know firsthand that education is the most valuable tool that we have to strengthen public health, increase outcomes, and empower people to live a proactive life. The outdoors in our parks are incredibly important for children and their families to explore, play, and learn. And unfortunately, too many families are at wit's end with Lyme disease, financially ravaged, and children are struggling in school due to a tick bite. I was that student. This bill, particularly its education component, will have long-lasting, profound, and necessary outcomes that will help to prevent Lyme disease and strengthen our public health systems. Your vote will make a difference in the lives of children and their families. I know firsthand. I work with them every day. I strongly urge you to support House Bill 850. Thank you so much for your consideration and your time.
And do we have time for Veronica?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
My name is Veronica Hohenstein with the National Capital Lyme Disease Association, and I support HB 850. More than 355 million people have been diagnosed with COVID worldwide, and about 40% will experience post-COVID symptoms, commonly referred to as long-haul COVID, according to an October 2021 study by the University of Michigan. These COVID survivors are going to need ongoing care for a variety of psychological and physical symptoms. According to the CDC, these symptoms can include joint pain, sleep problems, depression, fatigue, cognitive dysfunction, stomach issues, shortness of breath, headaches, fevers, rashes, heart palpitations, just to name a few. Lyme disease and tick-borne illnesses share all these symptoms. It is not uncommon for a Lyme patient to be treated and yet continue to experience significant chronic symptoms. These same patients often face little to no support from physicians who are frankly puzzled by these symptoms. Education is the answer. This bill advances our cause because it helps educate the public both about the dangers of ticks, but also about the chronic health consequences that can often occur. These days, everybody knows somebody who is suffering symptoms of long-haul COVID. The same goes for chronic Lyme disease. Let's move this bill forward to ensure a safer, healthier future for children and the public at large. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Delegate Edmonds also wants to speak. Sir, you have the floor.
At the proper time, whenever you say, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, sir.
So I just wanted to, I had testified to this some years ago when then Delegate Comstock had a bill to allow patients to understand about the implications of a negative Lyme's test. But and I indicated in that testimony that I'm fairly certain my father passed away in 1988 of undiagnosed Lyme's disease, and we just didn't know what we didn't know. So I'm fully supportive of the bill. There's a lot more other tick diseases that don't have, that should be probably included in this bill, and then there may be, but alpha galactic allergy, you've got Rocky Mountain spotted fever, of course you have Lyme's disease. So I say out here in the country that ticks are going to be the death of us, and I hope it's not the truth, but I know it does make a lot of people sick, and a lot of people don't understand how to diagnose them or to prevent getting the ticks to start with. So anything we can do is a help, and I would, at the proper time, I have a motion.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I would move that we report and refer House Bill
850, yes. Second. Have a motion and a second to report and refer House Bill 850. All those wishing to vote, please do so.
And Delegate Edmonds?
Votes aye.
So the bill passes 6-0. Report and refer. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Thank you also for all the witnesses. I really do appreciate your input. Thank you.
Okay. Delegate Quinn, you're next, please, ma'am. House Bill 140. We've seen this variation of this a couple of times.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. House Bill 140 is certain. Well, first of all, I think I have should be an amendment on line 30.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The amendment's been reported, and I'm happy to read it.
Please.
On line 30, after who, strike lived at any time between January 1, 1800 and January 1, 1900, and insert were interred in such cemetery prior to January 1, 1948. This change coincides, this language, with the bigger date change that's happening in the introduced bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Let me see if we get a motion. Get that
All right,
before
sorry.
us. Need a motion and a second. All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. House Bill 140 is a familiar, in terms of piece of legislation that has come forth. It's about historical African-American cemeteries, those that have been abandoned over the years. And this changes the date of the establishment for qualifications of funding. And what we have found out that, this effort that's been happening actually all across the state, it truly is a bipartisan effort. I've gotten calls from, people from all parts of the Commonwealth and legislators from all parts of the Commonwealth just inquiring about this. And so these cemeteries certainly are in need of maintenance and for vegetation and various reasons, again, as they have been abandoned. Previously, in 2007, we used the date of January the 1st, 1900, and so this particular piece of legislation changes that date so that there are other cemeteries that will be incorporated into this up to 1948. And so we do have individuals who want to speak to it, Mr. Chairman, and at this time, if you would open the opportunity for them.
Yeah, just question. So how do they determine the date? Do they go look at the headstones?
They are, all across the Commonwealth, they are identifying individuals that had not been a part of a record, and they are looking at the names, they're looking at dates, and we're finding actually some extraordinary information, historic information that families and people are able to use to determine, when that person died and when they were born, and then again when they expired. So, yeah.
Thank you. Let's see if committee have any questions. All right, seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak in favor? Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Mike Sherman with the County of Henrico. We'd like to thank Delegate McQuinn for bringing this bill. She approached us a number of years ago with a historically African-American cemetery within our county that from the road you wouldn't have ever known that it was a cemetery. We have spent countless volunteer hours, Delegate McQuinn, in working with the gentleman who created a nonprofit. We assisted in the acquisition of that so that prior to that, it had been owned by a number of African-American churches that over the course of history had kind of their membership moved on and passed away, and then the LLC, I guess, or the company that had created the cemetery, it was defunct. And so Delegate McQuinn located a wonderful gentleman. We assisted with the acquisition of it, but again, that's only part of the problem. It's the ongoing maintenance that he really needs a lot of assistance with, and we would certainly encourage the committee to pass the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Alana Crennan. I'm from Arlington County, representing Arlington County here, and we stand in support of this bill. We have 3 different cemeteries that this would affect in Arlington County. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we have someone in the queue. Julie Langen.
Yes, good morning, Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Julie Langen. I'm Director of the Virginia Department of Historic Resources. We are the state agency that administers the historical African American cemeteries and graves fund. Since its inception, we have turned away a number of significant historic cemeteries that post-date 1900, so this bill would address that issue. We have concluded that 1948 is a historically defensible date, as that was the year that a Supreme Court case ruled against the segregation of cemeteries. So we feel very confident that that's an appropriate date for determining eligibility of cemeteries for this funding. So the department supports this bill, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
All right, let's hold on, if you will, ma'am. Let's see if any member committee have a question. Okay, thank you. All right, any questions of committee? All right, what's your pleasure? Have a motion and a second to report House Bill 140. All those as amended. All those wishing to vote, please do so.
Delegate Edmonds.
Votes aye.
Close the roll. It reports 6 to 0. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and I wasn't as long as Delegate Reed. Don't tell him I said that.
All right. So, Delegate White, you have a bill that I think that do you want to roll your bill into Wiley's bill?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I apologize for being late. I was presenting a bill in another committee. Mr. Chairman, I was hoping that Delegate Wiley's bill would be rolled into my bill.
He was here first.
I'm presenting House Bill 120.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, and as you can see, this bill is co-patronised by many of my peers. House Bill 120 authorizes resident veterans who have a service-connected disability of at least 30% to receive from the Department of Wildlife Resources at no cost or reduced cost, depending on the veteran's disability rating, a lifetime license to hunt and fish within the Commonwealth. Current law already authorizes the provisions of such a license at no cost for a veteran who is totally or permanently disabled 100%, and at half the cost of a veteran who is 70% disabled. The cost of this bill, if passed, under this section would be for residents, veterans, rated at total permanently disabled by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, receive a lifetime license at no cost. For a resident veteran rated 70% or more, but less than total permanently disabled by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs at a rate of $50. For a resident veteran of 50% or more disabled, but less than 70% by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs to receive a lifetime license at $75. And for a resident veteran of 30% or more disabled, but less than 50% to receive a license for $100. And I know folks from DWR are here to weigh in on this bill, and I hope it is desired of the committee to advance this bill. And it should not. And the reason it's staggered is so it wouldn't subject or kind of hurt the subsidies being received by the federal government, by the Department of Wildlife Resources. So with that, I'll take any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, question.
Mr. Chairman, just kind of, I don't know if it's a point of order or whatever, but is Delegate Wyatt's bill now identical to Delegate Wiley's bill?
No, I think Delegate Wiley's bill is identical to Wyatt's bill.
Okay, well, I think that's a distinction without a difference, but at any rate, it's so I'm wondering what's the best way to proceed here.
Well, I think that maybe either I misunderstood Mr. Delegate Wiley, that he said that you wanted to table your bill and roll your bill into his. Is that not what we heard? So what I'm going to do is I think we ought to just go ahead and take up 120, and we're going to let our boss, Delegate Ware, figure this out.
I think that's a great solution.
Okay. All right. So we've heard your bill before.
Okay.
Because what Delegate Wiley basically adopted your bill as his.
Okay.
And so his number was lower, and so maybe we misunderstood.
Okay.
We kind of low on caffeine this morning. So, all right. So what's your pleasure?
I have a motion.
It's got to go to approves also.
Yep. I have a motion that we report and refer.
Okay. All right. All those wishing to vote, please do so. Report and refer.
And Delegate Edmonds.
Votes aye.
Close the roll. It reports 6 to 0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Back to House Bill 727, Delegate Plum. I think you said you want to take that bill for Delegate Ward.
Yeah, Delegate Ward is ill and asked me if I might present this bill. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to present it. If there are questions beyond what I can answer, or there are people in the audience, or if necessary, we had to carry it over. But Delegate Ward is ill. It builds on the program that we just heard about in terms of the historical African American cemeteries and grave funds. The difficulty has been that in some of these instances, there's not an established organization that is available to take advantage of the monies that we provide through the budget for these cemeteries. And what Delegate Ward's bill does is to open up the fund eligibility in the instances of which they're not organizations that can carry out the functions of maintaining the cemeteries to localities. So it adds localities to the eligibility of who can get the maintenance money. There's also a fund for extraordinary expenses that, again, localities are not now eligible to receive, but there are cemeteries for which either there's not an existing organization or an organization that's not functional enough to be able to carry out these functions would allow local government, again, to become eligible for the funds. So that's, I think, the essence of what the bill is. The representative from the Department of Historic Resources that administers the fund is here, and also the local governments that are interested in the bill is here as well. It does not increase the fund. It simply says who can use the fund to do the functions of maintaining the cemeteries.
Okay, questions of committee? All right, let's go to Julie at Langen, if you will.
Yes, good morning again. Julie Langen, Department of Historic Resources. We are the state agency that administers this fund. Delegate Plum did an excellent job of addressing what changes would result from this bill, which we think would be an improvement to the program. There are some cemeteries for which there aren't any local groups to serve as stewards or custodians. So by expanding the definition of qualified organizations to include localities, that problem would be addressed. The bill also makes one other small change, and that is that it would allow localities to apply for funding for larger first before applying for maintenance of the individual graves themselves. And we think that's important because we want the highest priorities to be addressed first. And there may be greater needs than grave maintenance that need to be addressed at the outset. So the department does support this bill, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So do we have any questions of community members too? Seeing none, thank you, ma'am. All right, anyone in the audience want to speak in favor?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm Angela King with the City of Hampton. Thank you for the opportunity to provide remarks in support of House Bill 727, which addresses existing challenges with respect to locality access to the fund. The current plain language of the qualified organization definition in subsection A only enables localities to apply for funding if the locality owns the cemetery. Many of these historic cemeteries are privately owned or neglected, and it may not always be feasible or desirable for the locality to obtain ownership. However, there are instances where it would be desirable for the locality to have access to the fund in order to address specific maintenance issues, such as collapsed or exposed graves. Therefore, the city supports the expansion of the definition to include localities which are applying for the fund for the purpose of maintaining a neglected cemetery within its jurisdiction. This language is similar to existing language within the definition, which allows certain charitable entities to apply for funding, regardless of whether or not they own the cemetery, if their primary purpose is the preservation of historical graves or cemeteries. Additionally, we support the modification of subsection F to allow eligible localities to apply directly for that extraordinary grant funding. This will provide localities with the option of focusing their efforts on the more involved public health and safety issues, such as collapsed or exposed graves, while leaving the regular maintenance funding available for other qualified organizations to obtain for the same cemetery. Again, thank you for the opportunity to provide comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, seeing no questions, thank you. Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Emily Reynolds with Access Point Public Affairs, representing the city of Suffolk. We actually have 16 cemeteries that could benefit from this bill, and we are in support of it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair,
morning.
members of the committee. Jerry Wilson, City of Newport News. We also support the bill. We do have a cemetery of concern that this would greatly help us with. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Jessica Dennis, representing the City of Norfolk. We have 2 cemeteries that would be impacted, and we also support the bill.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. David Westcott on behalf of the City of Chesapeake. We also support the bill.
All right. Anyone in opposition? Seeing none. All right, so the bill needs to be referred to appropriate. So what's your pleasure?
Move to report and refer, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Have a motion and a second to report and refer HB 727. All those wishing to vote, please do so.
Delegate Edmonds.
Votes aye.
So close the roll, and the report's 6-0. All right, so let's see if we missed anything here. Cordoza's not here. I hadn't heard anything from him.
Right. And Helmer, we talked about.
Yeah, Helmer, we need to table Helmer's bill. What number is his?
His bill is 487.
All right, so
Helmer told me that he thought his bill was going to be rolled into Delegates this month.
well, so I think what has happened in the past, and I hadn't heard, what has happened is that they would table the bill, and then he would sign on to whose bill was that?
Delegate Guz's.
Yeah, he wanted to sign on as a co-patron. All right, so we need to table his bill.
All right.
Am I correct?
That's my understanding of the
Yep.
current.
Okay, so we need to table 487. Who makes motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, have a motion second to table 47. Is that a?
Recorded vote.
Yep. All right, please vote.
Delegate Wright. And Delegate Edmonds.
Votes aye.
All right, so the table passes 6-0. Okay. Anything else? Okay, so full is at 9 o'clock. So you got 15 minutes.
Good timing.
All right, thank you.
Expert handling, Mr. Chairman. Expert.